Welcome back, everyone, to Onyx's Rambling Reviews, and to a review this time. I remembered to turn off the air purifier for this video. Put a note on my door, so when I close it to keep the cats out, I remember to turn that thing off. So hopefully we don't have weird background noise caused by that. I don't know if we'll get other weird background noise. I don't know about that. But hopefully we won't get a weird fan background sound. I have no idea. But today's movie is Masters of the Universe. The new one. That just came out, obviously. Okay, here's the thing. I don't know the original show or anything. I have seen the new Netflix show She-Ra, Princess and the Princess of Power. Something like that. Love that show. Adore it. Pun not intended, but I appreciate the pun that I unintentionally made a little bit. Good show. Really liked it. And that is the extent of my knowledge. No, there's also the level, the Masters of the Universe level from Funko Fusion, the video game. And that is the extent of my knowledge on He-Man and all of that. But man, do I love 80s franchises. Unfortunately, the majority of 80s memorabilia and merch things that I own are horror-related, which does not fit the vibe of this movie at all. This movie is the epitome of sci-fi meets fantasy. I think that's just the franchise in general. It's very, there's, mechs and, a lot of tech and everything, but there's also magic. It is very sci-fi meets fantasy, to the extreme. And I love that. I love that. I don't have a lot of things to, put up. So I have, over here, Blockbuster. That was around the 80s. I have a shirt with a Game Boy. Yes, I know the Game Boy came out in 89, 90. It's the best I got that isn't horror for the 80s. But I did get the cool poster from the theater. So thankfully I have that to put up. That's about it from what I have for merch, unfortunately. But I'm doing my best. Let's talk about this movie. I expected it to be really cheesy because everything that I know about the franchise just screams, this is going to be cheesy AF. There's no way it can't be. And it was, and I love that about it so much. Also, the soundtrack for this movie slaps. Not just, the soundtrack where they bring in, known songs, off just, a Spotify playlist. No, the instrumentals, the orchestrals, oh, they're so good. They're so good. I need this soundtrack in my life. For real. It's so good. You want to get into the actors? Let's get into the actors. We'll start off with Nicholas Galitzine. I know I'm pronouncing that wrong, as I pronounce so many actors' names wrong, and I got nothing. I have no excuse for it. I'm reading a name. I could listen. I don't know if I tried to listen to someone pronounce the name, or at least, the AI thing. I don't trust AI, so. He is our main character, Adam He-Man. He does a good job. He has some great line delivery. Honestly, none of the acting is, super amazing, honestly. I didn't expect it to be, but it's all perfect for this movie. I think if you had, people trying to take it really seriously, it wouldn't have worked. These people understand that this movie is cheesy, and they lean into that in all the right ways, and it's so good. So next we have Camila Mendes as Teela. I do not know this actress. I have never seen anything she's in, but she has been in Riverdale and stuff. A lot of it seems like teen romance kind of things, that kind of vibe. Also, Nicholas has been in a lot of queer media, which I love. He was in Red, White, and Royal Blue. I need to see that. I need to read that book. I am all for the queers here. Happy Pride, by the way. Happy Pride. Hell yeah. But I don't really know a lot of what either of them have been in, but I think they were great as our two main leads here. Skeletor. Okay, when I look up the cast on Google, there's two people credited as Skeletor. I think it's mainly Jared Leto, but there's also somebody, Kojo Ata, who is also credited on Google, and I do not know how he's connected, because when I go into the IMDb, I can't find him on there. So if he did have any, role in playing Skeletor in this movie, great, good for him. If not, I think Jared Leto did it. Jared Leto is a great actor when he is not doing live action for himself, I think. Or when he does, what is it called? I know this term. It is method acting. His method acting really works for certain characters. Skeletor is a great example of a character where method acting, I think, would work great. I love Skeletor. He is unapologetically evil and the villain. And you know what? Hell yeah. We need more villains who are just unapologetically evil and just yeah, that's what I am. I'm not gonna change. This is too much fun. I love that. I love him. He's so fun. I do wish he had had a little bit more of the, I don't know if this is always how I imagine. I think this is it's something kind of like that for the laugh. But his laugh is a little, it still works. But Alison Brie for Evelyn, or Evelyn. I don't know however you want to pronounce it. I loved her in Together. Loved that movie. That movie, great example of body horror, by the way. No, I think she did. There's so many things I love about this movie, and it is not like a good movie per se, but it's so good at the same time. I loved it. You also have Morena Baccarin, or I'm gonna say Baccarin. She plays our sorceress, who was in the movie less than I expected her to be, I think, when I wrote down her name down. And then you have Duncan, or the Man-at-Arms, played by Idris Elba. Probably the most well-known actor on this list, besides Jared Leto, maybe. I'm not entirely sure. It's Idris Elba, man. Love him. Also, you have Kirsten Wiig voicing a robot, who is fabulous. I love the BattleBot so much. She has some of the best one-liners and quips in this movie. Okay, a lot of, actually, what I wrote down here are quotes, just so I can be like, I need to remember this so I can reiterate. Okay, we also have some other people. Sashir Zamata plays Susie, Adam's boss in the human world. Christian Vunupola, I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that, plays Adam's roommate. Love him. We'll get into him in a minute. I'd mentioned the king and the queen, but they're really not in the movie long enough for me to bring them up. They're there. I don't trust myself to pronounce names correctly, so I'm gonna leave it at that. But props to everybody in this movie. I loved you all, and thank you for leaning into the cheese so hard. I respect it so much. No, also, I actually have a friend that worked on the opening CG for this movie. Shout out to them. Great job. What's funny, I didn't know they worked on this, so when I put my review into my Discord chat, I'm like, look, the CG, it's not great, but it's the kind of bad CG that this movie needs. And they laughed. And like, good, okay, I didn't know they worked on this, so like, I'm like, oh, did I insult them? No, they're just like, yeah, okay, cool. And then they asked me if a certain song, I think the song they asked me if was in the movie. I don't remember, but I think it was. I hope I wasn't lying to them. But shout out to them. Your studio does good work. Shall we get into the review? I think that's everything I have to cover. Because this movie has some gorgeous set pieces, but also there's definitely times when the CG, you're just like, yep, that is bad CG. But it works so well in, like, when you're thinking about the movie overall. I love it. It's so cheesy. It's exactly what this movie needed to be. Let's get into it, shall we? Spoiler alert! We're gonna talk about the plot of the movie, obviously. Shall we? Okay. Oh, the first note, actually, the first two notes are not about the movie. I still hate that roller coaster intro. Regal, fix it, please. I know I'm a very tiny channel and you're never gonna see this, but I hate that intro. It's so bad. Like, honestly, the least you can do is move the tracks from the top of the screen to the bottom, and it would look a lot better. Even just that would honestly save a lot of pain. Also, screw Amazon a little bit. Now it's so hard everything's sold by a third party on there, so it's hard to find a third party that's trustworthy. I had to do some shopping on Amazon recently for things that I knew I was never going to find in a store nearby. Finding things that are actually, like, good quality, that aren't sold by some weird third Chinese party, almost impossible these days. But we're starting out, we have narration, and it's narration about Eternia, the planet, land, world, whatever you'd like to call it, where Adam is originally from. And then we get, the backstory about the Sword of Power, which was to hold the power of Grayskull. And it's like all the powers of the god, it's a power of a god in there. And the sorceress watches over the sword. And now we see this kid who apparently he's just like, I have poor hand-eye coordination. This kid already knows he is not meant for sword fighting. And he is tiny, he is a cute little kid, but he's just like, I don't want to go to weapons training, or what is it? Arms training. He's trying to get out of it. He's just like, no, I don't want to. He still ends up going. He also has this the talking green tiger is such a cutie. I want him so bad. He's so cute. He'd snuggle with me more than one of my cats does. The kid still ends up having to go to arms training. So at arms training, you have all the kids. He is Adam, who is our kid that we're seeing in this flashback, is the smallest of them all. And the Master at Arms, Duncan, is talking to him, and he has, it looks like a stick, and he's just like, so what is this? One kid answers, it's a stick. Immediately gets hit over the head for being a sarcastic asshole. But also, it is a stick, so he's not wrong. But then Tila's just like, it's your weapon, your arms, or, you know, what you need to fight with. So the Man at Arms is way too excited for child. He is very excited for them to start fighting each other in training and watching these kids beat the shit out of each other. Honestly, I'm not saying that kids should be violent, but also, like, I understand it a little bit. I probably would do well in this kind of a fantasy world. No, this movie made me so happy in ways that I cannot express. Adam is having... Yeah, Adam, he partners up with Tila, young Tila, for their training. And he ends up dancing and screwing around. He's not actually trying to train. Tila definitely could, like, put him on his ass in, like, 2 seconds flat if she needed to. The king shows up, and he sees Adam just kind of messing around and dancing. He ain't happy about this. He throws a sword at his son. Like, he doesn't throw it at his son, he throws it at the ground near his son, but still, just like, my dude. And he's like, pick it up! Now the king is gonna fight his son. It's not a fight, it's like 5 seconds, and the kid is on the ground, disarmed. King is not happy with the, you know, how his son's training is going. But Duncan comes up as the king turns and walks away, and he's just like, get up. That way, when the king turns around, he sees that you're back on your feet and you're ready to go. And the king never turns around. Yeah, that's not a healthy parent-child relationship there, is it? But we don't really learn much about that parent-child relationship. Whatever. And kid ends up pouting, sulking on the bridge. Tila shows up, and they talk, and then suddenly the palace, or the kingdom, the world, something... Where did that breeze come from? There's not a vent near me. There's not a vent in this room. I don't know where that breeze came from. To be fair, I'm pretty sure we do have a ghost living in this house. I call her Melinda. Maybe it was Melinda. No. But now the kingdom, palace, world, whatever you want to call this place, getting attacked. People are coming in, they're attacking this area. Eternia. Duncan shows up and just telling the king, you're under the attack. The king is clearly watching his kingdom be attacked as he's told, hey, we're under attack. He's just like, my guy, I can see this. It's just like, yeah, thank you, Captain Obvious there. Look, it leans into the cheese, and I love it. It works for the movie. I have feelings. I didn't expect to be that into this movie, and I was. And it is, I don't know, I want to see this movie again. It was fun. And now you got guns versus swords and axes. And this is where you really see, like, sci-fi versus fantasy. Sci-fi and fantasy meeting and meshing into this world in one thing. I don't know how they managed to pull it off to make it work. You definitely see more of the sci-fi side of things in this. You don't get as much magic and anything, but still, like, the world feels more fantasy than sci-fi, but then you have all these sci-fi aspects with, like, the guns and, like, robots and everything. They mesh it really well. I don't know if they did that in the cartoon or, like, the old live-action movie, but whatever. We also find out in this scene, Tila is Duncan's daughter, which, as somebody who doesn't know the franchise, I learned that for the first time in this moment, so that's fun. Duncan is down to lead the royal family to safety, which is Castle Grayskull, which is really just where they keep the Sword of Power. There's not much else going on in Castle. It's not really much of a castle. It's more of like a big shrine to a sword. But whatever, we'll call it Castle Grayskull. Duncan is a badass. There's a hook-handed man thing. His name is actually Trapjaw. I ended up calling him Hookman for a little bit. This is what I get for not knowing the franchise going in, which honestly sometimes makes things better. No, I called him Hookman, but it's not always a hook. Sometimes it's a gun, sometimes it's a sword, sometimes it's a hook. But he has like a metallic jaw, so the Trapjaw makes more sense for the name. Duncan sends the royal family to keep going, and he's gonna stop Trapjaw. He puts up a good fight. They do well. Tila, who is also running with the royal family, by the way, turns around. Tila, who is also running with the royal family, turns around to go back to check on her dad. That doesn't ruin the fight for him at all. I think he was going to lose whether or not she came back, but she sees him lose the fight, and I think that is where she starts to see that he isn't all power, like, invincible or anything. We'll get into that in the future. Duncan gets shot right in the gut. Like, it doesn't go through. I'm not even sure what he gets shot with, but he gets shot, like, right here. He survives that. It doesn't even look like he was shot when, like, we go to a wide shot where we kind of... He's just in pain. I don't know. He's not dead yet. A bomb goes off. They jump out of a window, right? I love it, but I also hate the trope of, like, jumping at the last second with bombs. Brought this up in the Mandalorian Grogu video. Bring it up here. Bombs. Last second jumps. And now we finally get to see Skeletor. I love him. He found the royal family. And now the dad sends... Castila's already gone, so now it's just the king, queen, and App. And the king is just like, okay, wife, son, you keep going to safety while I hold off Skeletor. To be fair, the king does take a while to go down, and it takes a decent chunk of Skeletor's men to hold him back. He gets this close to, like, getting the sword up in Skeletor's face and everything, but he doesn't hit him, unfortunately. Skeletor takes the king's crown, puts it on his head. I respect that. She's like, yep, that's why I don't want this, so I don't want to rule this kingdom. I don't even care about this kingdom. I just want the power. Dude knows what he wants. He's a good villain. I respect that about him. Here's the thing. So, then we get the scene with Skeletor laughing, and it goes on for a little bit. In all the right ways. It is excessive. It ends with him just like, I put my arm up and we're done. It's so good. It's so good. And I can't describe it in a way that makes sense and that makes it sound as funny and entertaining as it is. But it is great. It is great. So now the king and the son, they do make it to the sword place. I just called it sword place. It is Castle Grayskull, which is not a castle in my opinion, but whatever. They want to... The sorceress is there, and she opens a portal, and she's like, we need to send this to a place where Skeletor will never find it. And somebody said, my home world, I think that was the queen. I guess the queen's from Earth? I don't know. Somebody might be from Earth. They open the portal. The kid picks up the sword, and there's, like, shocks of lightning that, and she's like, ooh, kid got power. But, like, he didn't use it. The mom as the kid picks up the sword, Skeletor comes in. He's like, give me the sword, and the mom goes to protect the kid. She just gets shot right out of the way, blasted into a pillar. She's fine, I guess. We see her later. She's not dead. So Adam does end up taking the sword, and he goes through the portal. And he is told, do not lose that sword. Hold on to it. He holds on for, longer than you'd think, but he still loses it and gets separated from it in the portal. And he lands in a river. You know the best part about that whole opening segment? That was him recounting where he's from to a date. And I'm guessing it's their first date. And she's just like, She definitely wants to be like, I need to call a mental ward or something. And she looks at her phone, she's like, I gotta take this. The phone didn't ring, didn't vibrate, nothing. And Adam's just like, it didn't ring. And she's like, no, I gotta take it and go. She is just not there for this. She is not into his story. And I love that. And she's like, yeah, no, it's too much. I can't. She's gone. Apparently Adam's roommate knows about his backstory, and I guess he accepts it. But also when Adam's coming back, he's watching, I want to say it's The Notebook, but I could be wrong. It is some rom-com, and he immediately turns off when Adam comes back and hides the fact that he was definitely really into the rom-com. Yeah, I don't even know if I'd call it a rom-com. It was definitely more just a straight romance than a rom-com. I don't know. I don't even know what movie it was. Whatever, he was into it, but Adam doesn't, he's not gonna let Adam know about it. But he does know about Adam's backstory, because he was like, you told her about all that, and he's like, you could just lie. Whatever. Adam, also, he's a good artist. We see, as he goes into his room, there's a whole bunch of pictures that he's drawn of everybody who he remembers from Eternia, what the sword looked like, a map of there's maps, there's pictures of the sword, there's pictures of drawings of all of, like, the people that he remembers. He was a good artist. He still probably is. Apparently he drives a stick shift. I used to own a stick shift. I miss it so much. I actually really like driving stick. And honestly, I think if you look at me, you wouldn't expect me to know how to drive stick. No, I did. That was actually my first car was a stick shift. And I was so sad when we had to get rid of it. And I miss it so much. It was a cute little car. It was a 92 Nissan Sentra. It was a two-door. It was a cute little car. Car was older than me. He goes to work. Now, first he goes to the gym. I didn't get the reference because I've never seen the original He-Man or Master of the Universe movie. The original live action from I don't know when. But apparently it's Dolph Lundgren? I don't know. Give me a minute. Okay, so I'm guessing I'm not guessing. I know this. I can read the internet. He played He-Man in the 1987 Masters of the Universe live action movie. It was Dolph Ludgren. I'm still pretty sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, but that's closer than I did earlier. Now, I didn't get that reference in the theater, but so many people in there did, and they were cheering. They're just like, yeah! And I'm like, he's gotta be important. Either he was like the original voice actor or something. I was close. Sort of. He played the character before, so I'll take that, sort of. He just plays a gym bro. He's credited as Macho Man. I call him Gym Bro. It works. And apparently, so now he's at work. I guess he works in HR. I'm not sure what company he works for. It's not really specified. It doesn't really matter. Also, he ended up in Oklahoma City. I didn't mention that earlier. I need to stop hitting my mic. I'm sorry. He ended up in Oklahoma City. And my husband's definitely like, they definitely use like London or something to be Oklahoma, which I didn't. He's really good at catching those kind of things. And I'm just like, yep, that's Oklahoma. Sure, why not? To be fair, we're not there long enough for it to really matter. So it's okay. It's okay. But apparently he's looking for his sword on the internet while he's at work. And apparently he's making people uncomfortable by all the talk about looking for the sword and everything. Which, especially if you're working in HR and you're talking about looking for weapons and everything. Yeah, no, I can see how that would make your coworkers uncomfortable. So he gets pulled in with his boss. His boss is Susie. I mentioned the actress earlier. She is way too cheerful the whole time. It's definitely that false cheerful that you put on for work. That like, yeah, everything's great kind of vibe. I can't do that even for work. Thankfully, I don't really work with people. It works out for me. I am not great. I would do horrible in customer service, especially if in HR. I am not built for that. I am way too jaded. She is. Adam, you might get fired if you don't stop looking for your sword while on company time and everything. And he put his phone on the desk, face up, by the way, face up. He should have put it face down, first of all. First of all, he shouldn't have even taken his phone into the meeting with him. He should have left it at his desk or in his car. Whatever. He took his phone and he puts it face up on the desk while he's having this meeting with his boss. He's just like, yeah, you might get fired if you don't stop doing this. Just saying. And during this meeting, he gets a message on his phone. I found your sword. The boss can see the message as well because screen up. And he tries to subtly go to reach it, and she's like, I can see your hand moving towards the phone. And somebody mentioned that there's a coworker called Daryl. Adam at one point, she's like, I hate Daryl. He's like, poor Daryl. Then the message shows up. He does end up leaving. I think he probably gets fired because of this. To be fair, his boss explicitly told him, she's like, if you do that, you're fired, and then he did. So we never seen him get fired, but it's just media literacy people. It's implied that he got fired. We don't need to be told this. So he goes to the place where this anonymous dude sent him to find his sword. And it's a nerd store. That's the best way. It's full of action figures and things like that. It's not like a video game store. It's not a comic book store because I don't really see comics. It's just like nerd memorabilia, which I love. It gives Comic-Con booth vibes a little bit. Yeah, but like in a whole store, which I love. And he's trying to find, because the dude, he's just like, how will I find you? And he's just like, you'll know. He goes to like everybody in this store. I think it's just like, so are you the dude? And literally not one of the people he goes up to is the dude who messaged him. And the dude who messaged him comes up to him later and is just like, dude, it's me. Stop talking to these people. There's one dude who's like, I don't have a sword. I got a wizard staff though. And I'm like, these are the nerds that I want to hang out with because they can teach me how to cosplay well, probably. I really want to do good cosplay. I'm trying over here. Not today, really. Some videos I try a little harder. Maybe I'll try harder in the future. We'll see. Probably not, though. He does find the sword, and it is in a life-size statue of a pillager. And he goes to try to take the sword out of the statue's hand. It is very much stuck there. Probably, like, super glued or, like, something like that into there. The statue has good grip on it. And the store employee who was working at the counter, she was talking to me, and she comes out from behind us. She's like, sir, stop ravishing the pillager. As we just see him kind of fighting the statue. And she's like, get off the pillager. And this, as the statue is landed on top of Adam as she says this. It's a great scene. Great moment. I love it. I love it. And once he gets the sword out, he raises it up. He's just like, by the power of grace, by the power of Grayskull, I have the power. Something like that. Yeah, it is. By the power of Grayskull, I have the power. And the sword doesn't work. It doesn't turn him into He-Man. It doesn't take him home, which is what he wanted it to do. He then, with the sword, books it out of the store. As he's running out of the store, the cashier, the clerk, they're just like, are you single? She also does end up calling the cops on him, I think. But he tries to do like this, like when you see in action movies where they run out of place and they like slide over the hood of the car. He tries to do that. It is not graceful. He gets stuck kind of halfway. It is a failure. It is great. It is so good with the movie. He gets home. The roommate is watching another rom-com. This one, not a rom-com. This one's more of a romance because he has tissues. He's crying. He hides the box of tissues in his sweater. And Adam just goes to his room and like flops down on the bed and is sad. And he wakes up the next morning. I guess the cops found him. They arrived at his place. He is now arrested. They take the sword with him. And one of the cops makes a Highlander joke. And the other cop tries to follow it up with a joke and just fails entirely and falls back onto what the first cop said. And it's so awkward and uncomfortable, but it's so good for the movie. So good. But then they get stuck in traffic. I don't know how much traffic Oklahoma City has at 9 in the morning, but probably not what we're seeing. Either way, they get stuck in traffic. And then there's a song called I Got the Power playing. It's very brief. But we do get a song, I Got the Power. And then we look out of the car onto, it is like a ramp to get onto a freeway or something, but people are running now. They are getting out of their cars. They are booking it. And I call this, I wrote down Yak Man. And then I start calling him Beast Man later on, and I will stick with Beast Man. Adam runs away with the sword. The cops aren't in the car anymore. They got out to see what was going on because of all the traffic. And then people start, Beast Man lands on the cop car. He's searching for Adam and the sword. He lands on the cop car, and he's trying to get Adam out. One of the doors, the Beast Man is trying to open. The other one, there's no handle because you're in the back of a cop car. You're not, the perpetrators, when a cop arrests you, you're not supposed to be able to just open the door and like roll out. So there's no handle on that, which just feel like a safety problem, you know, in situations like this when, yeah, maybe you don't want that dude to actually die and he needs to escape. The window ends up breaking. I think he crawls out. He takes his sword, he gets out of the car, and he's running. Beast Man is beating up Adam. He has caught up to him. He is pummeling this man. Tila shows up. I don't know how I think I just knew it was Tila. I like, who else would it have been? In my head, I'm like, who else would this be? It had to be Tila. She kicks Beast Man's butt, briefly, and she starts to reunite with Adam. And then, Beast Man, he was not fully done for the count, and he interrupts that reunion by knocking Tila away. There's this point where Tyre just goes bouncing by. It's scenes like that where it's just like, it's so comedically hilarious, because it's just like, it feels cartoonish, but it works. I love it. Tila then ends up jumping off of the ramp into the underground, the main ground city traffic, which is what, 3-story? I'm horrible at judging height. I'd say 30 feet, maybe less, maybe more, maybe less, somewhere in there. I'm gonna go 30. It's a long drop. She lands fine. She's been training her whole life to be a warrior. Let's be real. And I think she expected Adam to have also been training most of his life to be a warrior. He ended up in HR, honey. He is the man you're looking for. He is not the man you're looking for at the same time. Adam does jump. Somehow he does not injure himself, which I think that's just because he's from a different planet. He might be built a little different, but I don't know. And I do have an okay thanks Amazon in here, because as they are running through the streets of what is supposed to be Oklahoma City, the Beast Man is chasing them through traffic, and out of nowhere an Amazon delivery truck drives by and crashes into the Beast, and it is funny. It is, yep, okay, sure, Amazon, you got your moment. Good for you. And so now they get to Tila's ship, which everybody in the park where she landed is just like, ooh, what the? They're all just staring at it in complete wonder and awe. And they run into it. And she starts closing up. And then Beastman starts running. I don't know how he gets back to Eternia. He must have his own ship. Probably. He's trying to like hold on to like the back door that like, zoop, like cargo door. It's hard to describe. I'm not a sci-fi ship expert. So he's holding on to that for a little bit. He does end up not, sticking with them as they warp speed or like they warp reality or something like that. Things are about to get weird and they start heading off to Eternia. Adam has no chill with the ladies. He's just like, you've aged. You got bigger. And like all the wrong things to say. But you know how he means it? It's just like, yeah, you got bigger because you're older. But like, no, you've also like, yeah, it makes sense. But also the way he says it and how it comes out is so just, it's not how you talk to a woman, hun. That's not. And we get to Eternia, and it is not as pretty as it once was. It is just kind of a desolate wasteland. It's sad. Evelyn, or Evelyn, is such a kiss ass. That is a note that I wrote. She is, though. But I think Alison Brie did a great job with her, and I kind of want to cosplay her at some point. I might, but I have a con that I'm coming up, and I know what I'm cosplaying for that, and I'm so excited for it. I just need to put it together, and ironically, my husband's gonna be the most help for that. Not the point right now. The Royal Guard is hiding. Somebody wakes up Skeletor, and that because the Beastman also returns. He must have his own ship that got him to Earth and whatever. And Skeletor is not happy that he did not return with the sword. So he's like, yeah, go find it. Some Cyclops dude. It's not really a Cyclops, but it's like a dude that has like a thing with like one like red like eye thing. It's very sci-fi looking and really cool looking, but also I'm just gonna call him Cyclops. he spots Teela and Adam's ship coming in and flying through the kingdom because they shouldn't really be there because that's where Skeletor is keeping watch for them to come back to. So now Skeletor's troops know where they are, where the Royal Guard has been hiding and, like setting up like, hey, we are the rebellion kind of vibes. Teela and Adam get to where the rebellion is hiding. He's just like, I remember all of you guys. He doesn't remember any of their actual names. He's just like, you're Ram Man because you ram things. Fisto because he has like a giant metal hand, giant fist. And you're Fisto because you fist people. It sounds bad and that's how it's meant to sound, and it works so well. I love it. And nobody believes that he is the prince, and just like, that's fair, he's not, yeah. But also, he was the prince? You'd think they kind of remember who that was, and like, he'd be more important to them? But it doesn't seem like he's that important overall. Not even the king and queen feel as important as they should. Which also, the king and queen are being held captive by Skeletor somewhere else. And they're just like, yeah, who are you? And so, he's from Earth. He can prove he is. He pulls out his ID. They don't have IDs on Eternia. These people don't know what the fuck that is. No, that's not gonna work. And they're just like, what is this? It's funny. The enemy troops show up after Dion locks Teela and Adam into a cell where there's a gross drunk man asleep on the floor, and there is a bot with like an apron on who is mopping or sweeping, one of those two. We find out Duncan is the drunk on the floor. He's also the one that reprogrammed the BattleBot to be a maid bot. She just has some great lines. She's just like, all right, I'll come with you, but I'm not cleaning up anything or doing anything like that anymore. I'm not cooking or cleaning. And she's just done with all that. And then they make her carry Duncan because he's in such a drunken stupor. He can't really walk or anything. And she's like, fine, whatever. They get to a ledge where I guess they can get to where the ships are. I'm not sure. Teela has an impressive jump. She goes, wee! And Duncan's just like, yeah, okay, I guess I'm ready for this. I don't think he makes it to even preparing to jump for it. He just takes the most impressive tumble down this hill. Points to the stuntman for Idris Elba here, because that was a good fall. That was an impressive fall. I really respect that. Also, just shout out in general to stuntmen and women. You guys don't get enough credit. You guys are like the backbone of so many movies, and you deserve, honestly, a category in the Oscars, like best stunt performer. Let's be real, you guys do. Yeah, no, the human world was not what they needed for Adam. It made him soft, it made him like, we're gonna talk this out. Okay? Conflict resolution, because he was in HR. He does conflict resolution. They just need somebody who does conflict resolution, but with their fists and swords. He does end up grabbing the sword and being like, by the power of Grayskull. And it's so cheesy. He does turn into He-Man. Full, like, loincloth and weird chest piece. Nice abs. Gotta be real. He lost his pants. Now he's just kind of in this skirt thing. But now he is fighting Trapjaw. That is the dude who he's trying to conflict resolution with. The guy who kind of ruined Duncan's life by beating his ass. He rips the man's hook. Oh, I say Hook Man. I still call him Hook Man here, not Trapjaw. So at one point he is now on Trapjaw, and he rips off the gun arm. And somehow it still works because Adam then uses the gun arm, somehow still working, to shoot the rest of Trapjaw's men. And she's like, I don't think that would still work, but I'm not sure how. There is still a lot of breeze coming from behind me. Skell's just, oh yeah, I kept, So just so I could write faster notes, I refer to Skeletor throughout my notes as Skells. So if I say Skells, I am referring to Skeletor. And I think it'd be really funny for somebody to have called him Skells. He wants the sword. He has a little tantrum about it because the sword got away. It's really funny. He's just like, he's the big powerful villain dude. And he's just like, I want my sword. I want that power. So now it's like a car chase, but it's not a car chase. But it's not necessarily a spaceship chase, because it's not necessarily spaceships. It's really hard. I need to learn sci-fi names for vehicles. I'm just gonna call them ships. But essentially car chase, both that, and some of them are like 2 rings that kind of go woo. That is a horrible. It's like woo. Yeah, something like that. So like yeah, something like that. And they have blades on when they're spinning. It's kind of like buzzsaws at the same time. And then you have the other the smaller ones that are, they kind of look like dragonflies. And Teela won't let her dad do anything. And he's just like, I can fly. I don't know how sober he is at this point. So I feel like everything he's been through probably sobered him up pretty quickly. But you never know. We also don't know how drunk he was. But he's just like, I'll fly. He's like, no, you just sit there. And she sends Adam out to go take care of some dudes, and he ends up somehow at one point he ends up on top of their ship or something. He ends up stopping these spinning blades on one of these other ships with his bare hand. Listen to him. He is still He-Man at this point. I do not know how long the He-Man power lasts. Is there a timer? Is it just until he decides? Melinda, why are you trying to screw with the iPad? Nah, I guess Melinda's gonna interrupt today's video. No, but I don't know how long the He-Man thing lasted. Yeah. I have in here at one point, the gay undertones aren't very subtle. They really aren't, in like all the ways that they definitely don't need to be. And I love it. And it's not even played for laughs. Like, just like, it's just there. It's just like, yep, there is definitely some gay undertone vibes. And we're not going to mention it. We're not going to bring it up. Moss Man is incinerated because Skeletor has now found the rebel base, and he has rounded everybody up, and he's just like, I want you to tell me where they went and who that dude with the sword is. Who's took my sword? We don't really learn much about Moss Man. He's just gone now. Fist Man ends up giving up Adam, or Fisto. I think his name was Malcolm. It just says Fisto on here. And that's because Dion was about to be the next one incinerated, and I think Fisto and Dion might have some feelings for each other, or he just didn't want to see another comrade go down. I don't know. Duncan finds his old armor that Teela held on to, because we're now back with that group. He suits up, and yeah, because their ship crashed, and Adam landed somewhere else in the forest. Gorgeous forest, by the way. It is beautiful. Very fall vibes with the reds and the oranges. Oh, it is beautiful. It is a great set piece. I love it. He finds it and he puts it on. And now we're back with Adam. The sword fell a little bit away. It landed blade down. It's like sticking out of the ground. And there's a bird sitting on it. Pretty bird. It's like a falcon type bird, I think. That's falcon or a hawk. Something similar to that. And he's just like, the bird is talking to me. And he thinks the bird is the sorceress. He does. The bird is the sorceress. Spoilers. I mean, all of this is spoilers, but yeah, the bird is the sorceress. If you look at her outfit, it is very bird-like. There's a lot of feathers and everything. Yeah, Teela scares away when she finds him. No one trusts Adam's beliefs or thoughts or theories, because he tells Teela that he thinks that bird was the sorceress, and she's like, no, that ain't the sorceress. Duncan apparently has a flask hidden in his armor. It's like right here. He's just like, let's celebrate, we're not dead. And Teela's just like, why are we still drinking? It's just like, yeah, okay. Yeah, Teela's not cool with it. Adam can lift a ship, like not fully lift it off the ground, but he can like lift it so she can get something out from underneath it. And he does it with like one hand, which is impressive, but like it's never really touched upon that like he can do all this stuff right now as He-Man. He does wonder what happened to his pants, and just like, so if I turn back, do I get my pants back? Like, to be fair, that is a good line of thought. That's a good question to have. I'd probably wonder, like, especially like once you have some downtime, you're like, where'd my pants go? Am I gonna get them back? Honestly though, as they're talking, him and Teela, They're having a moment, and it looks like they're gonna go in for a kiss. They keep leaning to each other. Immediately friend zones him. And honestly, he's not the guy you remember. Well, he kind of is the guy you remember, but like he's not who you thought he would be. So I can see that she's probably disappointed in that, and like just like you're not what I want. You're not what I need. I need to focus on like saving the day and everything. Friend zones, and then it's. Time moved quick. It's now very much night. And so it's akin to northern lights that show up in the sky, and it's a giant Skeletor hologram. And he lets Adam know, because he's trying to talk directly to Adam, but he doesn't know where he is, so he's just like, I'm in the sky so I can talk to everybody. Because you'll probably see this message, because I'm in the sky. He's like, yeah, the king and queen aren't dead, so if you come, you can save them. And Adam plans to kill him. Tila's just like, this is definitely a trap, and you should not do this. But he's just like, look, I'm gonna go one way or another, with or without you guys. And they're just like, all right, fine, we'll go. You see the bird. It's flying. This is like that trailer shot, I think. No, is that this one? Yeah, I think that's this one. The trailer shot of the bird flying. It's a beautiful shot. It's very pretty. And so they get to, it's Snake Mountain, where Skeletor is holed up. I think that is his castle, his base of operations. They get there, and there's this dude who essentially looks like the devil. Red skin, horns, all that. They get there, and Adam's just like, okay, I brought the sword for Skeletor. And dude's just like, okay, give me the sword. And he's just like, I'm not giving this to anyone but Skeletor. Smart move to be like, no, I will only hand this off if it is into the hands of the guy who actually wants it. I'm not gonna trust some middleman. Smart there, because you don't know what this middleman's gonna do. But the rest of his party, which is the BattleBot, Duncan, and Tila. Nobody else. Just those three. Because everybody else has been captured. They're all taken to the dungeons, and Adam is led to where Skeletor is. Skeletor is there, and Adam's about to go in for the kill, and Skeletor steps aside, and lo and behold, he was standing in front of the king, who's now, older, and, he could definitely use a shower. King doesn't die in the scene. Well, okay, that's not entirely true. He doesn't die in this moment of the scene. Because I kind of expected Skeletor to push him off the edge. Because where they're standing is just looking out over a field of lava. And I expected Skeletor to be like, give me this or I'm pushing him out. And no, Skeletor's just like, okay, well, now you gotta fight all my goons. And I hate that the term goon is, when I say it, I mean it in like the 1920s, like, gangster mob kind of way. That's what it meant to be a goon before, was you're just like, you're the grunt. So Adam starts taking them out. He's pretty good. There's one dude that has like a bunch of spikes, like covering his body, kind of porcupine-esque. He keeps getting stuck in places. At one point, Adam, near the end of the fight, Adam grabs him and he just throws him in the ceiling. And because of all his spikes, he just hangs from the ceiling because of all his spikes. You see him hanging from the ceiling in the background of some other scenes, and he's just stuck there, and it's funny. He killed the devil-looking dude. Ends up getting into the fight, and Adam ends up breaking off one of his horns, stabbing him in the neck, and then pushing him off where I thought Skeletor was going to push the king off. I was like, man, he just killed that dude with his own horn. It was violent. At some point he drops the sword, but he does get it back. And then Evelyn shows up, and she, like, freezes Adam in place. Here's where we get some more magic. I wish we had seen more magic in this, because I like the magic aspect of things. I am more I do prefer fantasy to sci-fi in the long run. I like sci-fi. I do. I love sci-fi. I'm more of fairies and dragons and that kind of stuff. But I also want, like, the dark fantasy, not just like, oh, fairies, they're so pretty. No, I want the fairies. They're just like, yeah, we're gonna kidnap your children, and if you eat our food while you're in our place, you're trapped here forever kind of fairies. I want the creepy, evil fairies. Mermaids that are like, we're luring you to your death because our singing is so good. We don't get enough of that. I want more of that. I want more fantasy horror. Pan's Labyrinth is great fantasy horror. That movie is so effed up. Just saying. Moving on. No, but Evelyn freezes him in like this like time bubble sword. He can kind of move it and move his hand, so he's going for his sword and like trying to like go back. Evelyn is still chained. Skeletor's just like, we got him frozen. We're good. You can stop. You don't need to keep spelling, my lady. Just keep him frozen there. and Adam tells him, she's like, face me like a man. And Skeletor's just like, A, I don't have a face. B, I don't want to. It's just, they lean into these dumb jokes and they work so well, because they're just like, yeah, it makes sense. It's so good to me. It's so good. I love it. Love it. Adam then breaks free of the spell. He shoots it like into a wall, like destroying part of the lair, bringing rubble down, unfortunately, on top of the king, but also on top of Skeletor. Evelyn just kind of nopes out of there. He's like, yep, bye. And Adam goes to go unbury his dad, and they have the moment, and then his dad dies, but he also tossed his sword to the side, and Skeletor must uncover himself, or Evelyn might have actually gone to uncover him, I'm not sure which. Either way, they are. Skeletor is just like, Daddy's dead, and now I got you, and now he is no longer, in the next scene, he is no longer He-Man, he is just back to being plain old Adam. And we don't see how he was un-He-Man'd. Also, he's never called He-Man until the very end, which we'll get to. We'll explain that why. I'd like to know how he un-He-Man'd. How he unpowered. Did a timer finally go off? Did he do it of his own free will? It's free enough because free in this case is more like coerced. But we meet the queen in there, and it's his mom, and she recognizes him. And here's the thing: these people still don't. Every from like the rebel troops, they're all there. They kind of see this reunion with him and the queen. And here's the thing: they still don't trust that he's the prince. And it's just like, she's his mother. She's also the queen. She could easily speak up for him and be like, yeah, that's my son. That is your prince. She says nothing. And it's just like, my lady, I respect that you are the queen and everything. You are the queen. You should be more in charge here now, and you have more of your people here. They should be looking to you for answers. And he also lets her know that, the dad is dead, and that Skeletor now has the sword. But he does get a nice mom hug out of it. It's a nice long mom hug. Skeletor, who now has the sword, he's just like, by the power of Grayskull, I have the power. It doesn't work for him. And he just starts stabbing this guy trying to get it to work. He's just like, because just like when you do the pose, you lift the sword up to the sky and like lightning comes down on it. He's so good. He does it way longer than he does. And Evelyn's just like, okay, I can get this to work. We just have to go back to like Castle Grayskull, and I got this ritual that can like redo it so you get the power. And so that's their new plan. Duncan's not good with feelings. He states this outright. It's like, I'm not great with feelings. And just like, who knew? The dude who was definitely just there to fight and train fighters, not good with feelings? Definitely expected that. It makes sense though. And then also one of the people who is locked up who's not really a person, it's the Green Tiger. That was not the voice I expected from that. I expected something deeper. I like the voice of the Tiger Kitty. I just expected something deeper. No, it works though. I guess it kind of works. And now they're just like, okay, so we need to gather away. We're gonna have war. Duncan's just like, yeah, war council, war meeting, and it's just like, we're gonna have a seminar. We're gonna talk about it. And Adam's trying to bring in like human HR speak, and it's just like it ends up being a war seminar. But he does end up convincing, Fisto, Ram Man, Mechaneck, who's a dude who just has like a really like Inspector Gadget type neck. These are all names that Adam came up with because I guess he didn't know these people's names before he got sent to Earth, or he forgot them. But he remembered what they look like and like who they were to some extent, and like these features about them, so he was able to name them from his memory off of these things, which is why you have not the greatest names, but that's what makes it so good. That's what makes it so good. Yeah, no, why doesn't the queen? I don't know why the queen doesn't. And they get to the point, it's just like, yeah, we can't break these bars. They're made of some kind of really strong steel. Think like adamantium from X-Men, which is what Wolverine's bone structure is made of. That's what his claws are. But he's just like, well, everything around it is rock, and you can easily break through rock. And he asks, so how much do you bench? These people don't know what that means, Adam. They don't know human, colloquialisms. But he's trying so hard, and it's so lost on these people, and but the fact that, like, they speak English both on Eternia and in where he ended up, it's just like, what if Adam had ended up in, like, Russia or India, France, somewhere where they don't speak English, and he ended up learning a completely new language, and he goes back and he can't really remember English, and it's just like, they got really lucky he ended up in the US, or US, because it's England, but whatever. Like, even England would have been okay. But it's just like, well, what if he had ended up learning a completely new language and he no longer remembers English by the time that you come find him? That would be funny. BattleBot is... Oh, yeah, no. So Duncan, he must have, like... think of, like, how in Big Hero 6, Hero puts the, like... a chip into Baymax that makes him BattleBot. Essentially what Duncan did to the BattleBot in this movie, he took out that chip, but he held on to it this whole time. He's just like, last time you tried to kill me. And he's just like, if I put this in, you promise not to kill me? She's like, no. He still, like, reinstates her BattleBot, like, mode and everything. And she is ready to go. And they break down the walls around the cage. Thank you, people, for finally figuring out some brains here. It's just like, yeah, you don't try to break the bars. You break everything around the bars so you can push the bars down or something. It makes sense. And so they break that down, and then you get this cool 80s power ballad as they're walking after they've broken out. But there's so much dust, and they start coughing because they're just like, yeah, it's really dusty. I love it. I love it. It's so good. It's so good. And now it's time to take back what's theirs. And they're like, they end up fighting off all the guards that were holding them. They get to the ships, and they end up getting to Eternia, where Skeletor has his troops ready to fight, because I guess he expects them to break out of jail. Honestly, why would you bring that many troops if you didn't expect them to break out? Or I guess there could be another faction of rebel somewhere that could show up. For all we know, there isn't, but there could be for all we know. And so they get there, and as they're about to go into fight, Duncan turns to his daughter and just like, you're the man I wished I could be, to his daughter, and she's like, okay. And Adam ends up third wheeling that moment real hard, because he jumps in on the hug and she's like, yeah, just like, and they're just like, this is a father-daughter moment. Why are you here? This isn't right. As the cat's just like, I don't want to do this. Teela calls the cat a pussy, and it must not mean the same thing on Eternia as it does in America or on Earth. He's like, what? He is pussycat. And he's like, yeah, okay. Somebody says, give him head, Ram, man. There's so many, like, unintentional, but they were definitely written intentionally, innuendos written into this that work great. There's this long bridge to get to Castle Grayskull from, like, the main city of Eternia. I'm just gonna call it the city. Duncan and BattleBot stay there to protect that part, as Teela and Adam jump onto the back of the cat, who's just like, next time I need armor. And this is the scene where I thought the CG was kind of really weak, with them running on the cat. But it works. The bad CG works. It's funny. But yeah, no, it's definitely kind of bad CG of them, like, riding on the back of the cat as they're going to Castle Grayskull. But Duncan and the BattleBot stay behind. Those two run to Castle Grayskull. They get there. Adam gets to the sword before Skeletor can grab it. And Evelyn turns to Teela, and she's like, so what if we just get out of here and let them have their own motto? And I think that would have been hilarious if those two are just like, yeah, okay. And then they just go hang out and become, like, best girlies. And just like, and then they just, every time that there's a fight between the pair in the future, they just start gossiping with each other. I think that would have been funny. And Teela's just like, no, we're actually going to fight this out. And you do see them fighting in the background of Skeletor and Adam's fight, but it's not as focused upon, obviously, because that's not the main fight. But I still think it would have been funny if they're just like, yeah, we're gonna go do our own thing now. We'll just leave you guys to it. You're good. BattleBot gets destroyed because Trapjaw comes in on a ship after they had taken out the bridge to stop the ground troops, but there's still like the Air Force. It's not the Air Force, but like air combat that can come in. And Trapjaw shows up, and he just wails at BattleBot, taking her down. Poor BattleBot. She is destroyed, and that is Duncan is not happy with that. He jumps into the ship with Trapjaw, and he takes Trapjaw out. He like forces. They fight. They do have their hand, and Duncan's just like, "Do you remember me? Do you remember who I am?" And they have that moment, and then he like pulls Trapjaw's jaw, the bottom part, the mechanical part, down, pulls a bomb and shoves it in his mouth, shuts the jaw, jumps out of the plane, and the plane obviously explodes. That's a way to go. Damn, Duncan, you wanted your revenge. You got your revenge. So now back into the fight with Skeletor and Adam. Adam is not He-Man yet again. He hasn't reformed into He-Man, but he's fighting with a sword a little bit, and he's holding it up to stop Skeletor's magic blast or something. And the sword gets destroyed. It is shattered. And then Skeletor takes what remains of like the hilt and the little bit of blade that's still there. Still very sharp because it's now just shattered metal. And he stabs Adam right here. And Adam goes into some weird mental memories that Skeletor ends up being in. My favorite one of which is the gym scene where Skeletor is in this like hooded, it's like a hoodie but like without the sleeves, so it's like a vest kind of vibe. A sleeveless hoodie and like gym shorts. It is hilarious. And he pulls the gym bro look off really well, unfortunately, and it's hilarious. He also ends up being in HR, and I think he's supposed to be a Daryl in that scene, but also fuck Daryl, I guess. And he also ends up being, we get the scene of the date. All these scenes we'd seen earlier in the movie. It's like, we're not getting any like new memories. Like, I wish we got something like a different flashback kind of. So like, hey, we've never seen this before, but I guess with how people are kind of media illiterate these days, it makes sense. Media literacy is important, people. We don't need to be told everything. You can infer. It is safe to infer. Skeletor in. To be fair, he looks good in that suit when he's at the date. He looks fine. And then in, like, the business, like, the button down. There's just Skeletor and all these weird outfits that just, they work, but they shouldn't, but they do. No, actually, all these memories happen before he stabs Adam. I'm sorry, all these happen before he stabs Adam. Also, the idea of Skeletor working in HR is just hilarious because he's just like, yeah, I'm the villain. That is what I want to do. That is who I want to be. He would just be encouraging all of the conflicts to continue instead of trying to find the resolutions. And it's just like, yep, he wouldn't last a day in HR. Or he would, and he'd end up taking over, and it would not be HR anymore. Something like that. Yeah, Adam's dead. Or he's dying. And he ends up back in his apartment, and his roommate walks into his room. And I'm just like, yeah, I think I'm dying. And his roommate's just like, kind of convenient to die right when the rent is due. I love his roommate. He's only in a few scenes. Everybody has some great lines, and that's, yep. The bird talks, because the bird appears in his dying moment vision dream thing. It is the sorceress, and she's like, yeah, the sword isn't where the power is. The power is in you. I chose you as the champion. So, like, when you picked that sword up when you were, like, 5, 10, I think maybe more like 10, the power that was in the sword transferred to you. That the sword is just there now. It's more of just a symbol than anything. It doesn't hold any power. The bird heals him, and his chest starts glowing. The sword reforms. And he tries to, he wants to talk it out with Skeletor, and Skeletor is like, no. And then Skeletor, after Adam starts really wailing on him, he's like, okay, let's talk it out now. And he's like, it's too late, man. And they fight. And it's Skeletor versus He-Man. And Skeletor's just like, I am a villain. That's what I am. Evelyn slips away during all this. Her and Teela must have stopped fighting once Adam got stabbed, and Teela's just like, oh no, and I guess they had no reason to keep fighting. I don't know why I don't know what was going on over there, but Evelyn slips away, and she's like, nope, that was never here. He-Man, Adam destroys Skeletor's scepter in this huge blast of power, which completely, like, disembodies Skeletor. All that's left of him is a skull. Literally just a skull. And then it's 6 months later. Eternia has been rebuilt it's still probably being rebuilt to some extent, but like it is no longer as like destroyed and everything. People are able to live in the city now. BattleBot is rebuilt, and it's very like a see-through plastic kind of thing. It's just like, I think it's very revealing because you can see like how her interior, how it's working. And Duncan's just like, I'm here if you ever need to talk about your feelings. Or I'm also here to beat you with a stick if you ever need it. Yeah. He brought his roomie so he can prove that where he's from is real. And the roommate's probably just like, that was some weird ass. Once the roomie probably gets back to Earth, he's just probably thinks it's some weird fever dream, or he had a really weird high or a bad trip or something. And some signal goes off, and Adam runs away to go change in He-Man, and everybody's just like, he knows that we know that he's running away to change, right? And we could just turn around. Hey, the tiger gets armor, as we see later, just like a later scene. And one of the post-credit scenes, this is probably the biggest spoiler. Probably not, honestly. but I think it's either the final post-credit scene or like the one right, or like the mid-credit scene, but you get a glimpse of the queen and she's like, I hope she's okay. And Duncan's just like, one day we'll have them both back or something like that. And then it cuts and we just see the back of somebody's shoes and a sword and a little bit of a red cape. And it pans out, pans away slowly, kind of going up at the same time. I think this is kind of how I remember it. Could be very wrong if this is how the scene goes, but essentially we're pulling away and somebody just like forced Captain Adora and she's like, that's not me anymore. And it's She-Ra. And I'm hoping beyond all things that we get a She-Ra movie. I love She-Ra. I loved at least the new show. I've never seen the old one. I should watch that. But I love it because I love powerful women. But also I'd like to see how like She-Ra and He-Man end up reconnecting. Also, before he goes to change, before we get the She-Ra scene, we do find out how we get the name He-Man. At least in this iteration of this telling of the story. We also find out what he named Teela. And she's just like, so what'd you call me? And he's just like, warrior goddess. and she's just like, I can't tell if she likes it or not. And just like, it's like, it is and it isn't insulting because it's just like, I get where he's coming from because like, badass woman is a goddess and she's a warrior. And they're just like, so what'd you call yourself? And they all want to know. He-Man. He named himself He-Man. And everybody's just like, I expected it to be bad, but I didn't expect that. No, but I also, look, it's not like the best movie ever. It's not going to be up for any awards. Well, okay, I hope it's up for best score because the score was so good, but I doubt it will be, as much as that pains me. But it's a good cheesy movie. You can't go in expecting masterclass. You can't go in expecting anything serious. You have to go in expecting cheesy fun and expecting it to be like, it's not so bad it's good, but it's almost in that ballpark. It is good, but it's not like good, but it's not bad good. It doesn't make sense, what I'm saying. None of this makes sense. But if you go in expecting it to be cheesy and just a fun time, you're going to have a blast. Especially if you have the right audience in the theater. But also, I think even that, if you have any idea what, like He-Man or any of Masters of the Universe is about, you'll still have fun. And I think my audience loved it. Because they're all just like, yeah, no, that it was as cheesy as it needed to be. They didn't go too cheesy, but they didn't try to go too serious. And I think they did a good job finding that middle ground that they needed to hit. It worked so well. It was so fun. I loved it. I didn't expect to enjoy it this much because I'm like, I knew it was going to be fun and cheesy. And I'm like, I'm going to have a good time, but I didn't expect to end up coming out loving it as much as I did. And I had such a good time. But that was Masters of the Universe 2026. If you guys have seen this movie, tell me what you thought. If you guys had such a good time too. This is probably coming out a little bit later than I mean it to. I'm getting behind on my editing. Editing takes longer than I thought it would. I don't have the funds to hire an editor yet. And I probably won't for a while, so this is all done by me. And the long form ones such as this do take a longer time to edit. But it's worth it in the end for me. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope if anybody stuck around to this point, thank you. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video, which will probably be a this or that. I think. Yeah, that should be right. Bye!